Hello.
Hey, welcome to the big stage.
Thank you.
That's why we come back every year. You got a big stage.
Music City, right?
Music City. And we're not going to sing
Right.
things I don't do. So you're Silicon Valley based, but you made the road trip here.
Yes, yes. This last week we had our annual shareholders week for Walmart, and essentially it's kind of like a big rock concert in the middle of a business meeting. They bring one associate from every store around the world and bring them to Arkansas, and then they have sort of a big show and what's going on with our results, which have been really good. So it was a great week.
How good have the results been?
The results have been excellent. Walmart's up, and in the business right now, retail has obviously got a lot of sad stories, but Walmart's doing really well, and our e-commerce growth has been phenomenal. We grew 63% last quarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few startups would like that 63%
Yeah,
growth.
it's big.
I want to talk about the student edition because you and I hung out there yesterday.
Yeah, it
but
was great.
you know, Walmart having good results is good for this state because let's do some fun facts.
Yeah, I think.
Walmart in Tennessee. Let's do
Oh,
some
boy.
fun facts.
Yeah, Walmart is, I was looking at the stats. One of the nice things about coming out, I've been to Tennessee before, so I had a bunch of people look up stats. We're the #1 employer in the state. 41,000 people work for Walmart in the state of Tennessee, plus another 40,000 people, suppliers that actually supply goods for us that get sold at Walmart. So it's a huge business. And I also looked up a bunch of fun stats. There's a beer brand that's called Yazoo. I thought was going to be.
Who knows Yazoo?
Yeah, it's probably.
There we
pretty
go.
good.
They know Yazoo.
I thought it would be the #1 seller, but no, it's Bud Light is the #1 seller in Tennessee. And it's 13,400 cans of Bud Light sold every day at Walmart, which is crazy. So you guys like your beer. In the state, yeah. And plus we sell a lot of local goods. So I mean, the famous one is moon pies and those sorts of things. We sell like.
Have you had a moon pie yet?
I haven't, but I have not during this trip. But I grew up in North Carolina, so I've had plenty of moon pies.
Oh yeah,
so
there's lots
good.
in the airport. So
Yeah,
when you're when you're flying out.
Yeah, so we sell quite a lot of local goods as well, and that's, I mean, one of the big fallacies of big box retailers is that everything comes from out of the country and that sort of thing. We do hundreds of millions of dollars of goods in local goods, and frankly, that's one of the things, not only technology scale-wise, but we help suppliers scale to Walmart scale. Like, how do you build enough products that actually can go into Walmart, right? Because it's a huge volume once you get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all that. So the student edition yesterday.
Great.
You and I were like geeking out on that. What give your thoughts, impressions?
Yeah, it was great. I was saying to somebody, the world is in good hands with those students out there because there's a lot of great products. There was 2 that were really interesting. The one that won one of the segments was about essentially cleaning blood of basically pathogens for sepsis, right? To try and, you would essentially hook up your like a dialysis machine and then clean your blood as it went through. And this startup is just amazing. A little plastic device about this big. You're just amazed by this. Plus, there was a number of other ones. The woman I got to hand the check to was about the music scene and how do you collect social media, ticket information, and all that into one place for music scene. It was an excellent idea. Great startups that are coming out of Tennessee.
Yeah, that was so much fun yesterday.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you're doing. You've been besides road tripping from Bentonville up here.
Yes.
You've been busy. You've been busy acquiring a lot of companies. Jet, ModCloth, Shoes.com.
Moose Jaw. I got my shirt on today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was noticing.
Yeah, exactly.
You got your startup socks as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to get all the Walmart lab socks on as well. So, talk about that. Talk about what's going on. Because I don't.
Well,
we see big companies acquiring, but never sort of thought of I'm going to say Walmart acquiring these young brands.
Yeah, it's interesting. As part of my job at Walmart Labs, we acquired 15 technology companies to sort of build the startup ecosystem and inside the company and sort of rebuild the way the technology worked. Now we've been really focused on the e-commerce side of the business and frankly, applying that into the retail stores. So you saw things like ModCloth and Jet.com and companies like Moose Jaw that give us access to really incredible brands that we wouldn't otherwise you wouldn't think about. Patagonia, for example, even parts of Nike and some of the sort of high-end apparel areas are really places that are exploding on the internet and sort of the last place the internet is really attacking. So these acquisitions have been great. we just had a big show where they all came in and talked to us. And it's really, how do I take Walmart's distribution and marketing and apply it to these companies and really get them growth? And this is one of the big reasons that we grew last quarter so much, is that we're effectively trying to apply Walmart's brand presence and their marketing and our distribution network to these companies that are relatively small. Shoes.com has been around since 2000. And it still is not a very big, I mean, it's a pretty big shoe supplier, but now we can really juice their logistics capability around the globe. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I want to talk to you about getting to how do you integrate those companies in?
Yeah.
Like in terms of thinking about startups and thinking about these companies you acquire, how do you integrate those in, and so that you can actually give them all that juice and growth, but also, you know, there was something with that brand and their customers that you were like, you know, we want this as well.
Yeah, it's a good question and a fair point. I mean, when I was at eBay, we went through this as well. And corporations have the tendency of hugging startups to death, if you know what I mean. They'll try and help them out so much they squeeze the life out of them. So we have tried to keep them as relatively separate at first and really help them when they need, in areas where they reach out, if you will. So like we said, logistics, most of these companies are outsourcing their logistics capabilities and even their seller onboarding or the PO business and that sort of thing. So we sort of start on the backside. We can help them negotiate, you know, if they're using, you know, the email provider or whatever back office software that they use, that we can supply all of that piece. But really it's about how do I look at it from a customer lens and make sure that they have the ability to do 2-day shipping and all the things that help us grow. And when you look at Walmart we just announced about 4 months ago, you know, 2-day free shipping for any orders that are over $35, which is really table stakes in the industry, but we really think it's free shipping. There's no membership fee required, and we really think that's going to change the game. It's part of the reason we're growing. And you can apply that to a family of brands like Shoes.com or Moose Jaw or any of these others and allow them to be part of the Walmart family. They can really grow their businesses.
That's
great.
huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Is that the differentiator for you guys in terms of thinking about what excites you about some of these acquisitions and stuff? Is it that customer experience? Is it that, I mean, you guys kind of know something about logistics.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think one of the big changes, so in February, we combined the eCommerce team, the technology team, and the stores technology team into one group, and that's the team that we're leading now. And really what you're doing is marrying this sort of startup internet ecosystem with these absolute experts in retail technology, and people that have been working on logistics or merchandising or replenishment or fulfillment supply chain capabilities. And these guys, they know their stuff. And you sort of combine them together with a customer lens, really a view. Nobody wants to know that, oh, the stuff that you bought on your app on Walmart.com, you know, you can't return at a Walmart store. You know, we fixed all that and made it to be, you know, if you look at, we were talking yesterday, if you look at a company's website, oftentimes you can see their org structure, you know, on their company's website. And that's what we really wanted to fix, essentially, was, you know, all products that you buy from Walmart, you can pick up at Walmart, you get a pickup discount, you can bring them back to Walmart for a return, you can get questions, and frankly, even things like easy reorder. So we built, if you open your app today, you'll see a list of all the products you've ever bought from Walmart. And if you're going grocery shopping or consumable shopping, oftentimes you're buying the exact same things many times. And we get, when you're building a grocery basket, it's pretty common to build 80 to 100 items where you're going to buy online. But even if it only took, you know, 20 or 30 seconds for 80 items, that's a long shopping item. So really, it's bring up your list, click, I want this, and be done with it, and take a 60-minute shopping experience down to 5 minutes. And that's also a really accelerated growth. But that's really personalization and taking the offline data and marrying it with the digital interfaces, whether it's your app or your laptop. Lots to do there.
Lots in all of this. Let's take, you know, you mentioned Walmart Labs.
Yes.
But you've taken on like larger responsibility, and in terms of how you're crafting and looking over all of this, like, can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, people ask a lot because the team that's at Walmart Labs is in Silicon Valley, out in California, and the team that runs retail technologies in Bentonville at the headquarters. And there was a lot of discussion about, was it culture clash, and how do you work through all these things? And frankly, really what it was is once you turn it around and look at it from a customer's lens, everything gets easier. If you think about, items that, what should the price of an item be? Should an item online be the same price as it is in store? And this is how we came up with great ideas like pickup discount. When you look at a product like a television, it costs, right now, it costs on average about $5 to ship one item from my warehouses to your house. It cost me $7 to ship 7 items. And you can imagine, I have trucks running to the stores every day. If I can fill those, I can give that money back to the customer. And all those things really, and that really helped us change the way we thought about technology. By looking at it from a customer lens, we're really marrying the teams together. So the team that runs the store registers is also the same team that runs the apps now. And so when you're building products like that, you no longer think about, okay, this is a store technology and this is a web app technology. It's all technology that's customer facing. And it's made a huge difference in the speed to market and even things like what technologies are we using for each one of our products.
Hence why you've now got all of this stuff under you, because
it
all is about the customer experience,
right,
as opposed to this is traditional technology over here, or this is purely retail. You don't worry your head about it, Jerry. Maybe it's like, no, the customer,
exactly
what
right.
the customer thinks. But let's talk about this, because I think a lot of, say whether a big company or whether a startup they deal with is when you're bringing together these dispersed teams. I mean, all the people who are like working under you are.
Yeah, I'm on the road a lot.
You're on the road a lot. There's not a direct flight from San Francisco to Bentonville yet?
There is now, yeah. Yeah, United opened a flight because there's a lot of people coming back and forth. So I'm on the road a lot. But I think the teams, this is where, from a technology perspective, one of the things we had to do, first of all, we had the store's technology teams was in Bitbucket, and all the e-commerce stuff was in GitHub, right? And so first things first, get everybody on the same Slack, get everybody on the same instance of Confluence and Jira, get everybody on the same interest of GitHub. So everybody could use the technology, look at everyone's code, I know this guy and his code. Just sort of, if you were a startup, this is how you would run, right? And frankly, I look at our code base now as one big giant open source project. Like every single piece of code inside of Walmart, you can now see who actually built it, when's the last time it was checked in, where is it deployed, what's the testing process, when's the last time it was tested, all these processes now that you would run as if you were running a startup. And frankly, that's really helped me focus our priorities from a technology standpoint, is if we can get those things first, then we'll be in business. So there's still a little bit more work to do. We still have quite a bit of legacy apps that we're trying to retire that we'll get through soon. But it's been fun. It's been fun. You can imagine what our GitHub repository looks like.
And I think that hurts my brain to think about
exactly.
that. So this sort of big, you're not only, I want to say, you're thinking about the consumer and what's going on in their minds. You're looking at their online experience, their physical experience. In terms of so many pieces that, plus a company, now you've already said it, you've got departments who had, or groups who had not been working together.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing you've learned through sort of organizational transformation that, I think people here, whether they're, a big company, maybe more for people here in the audience who are big companies, but that kind of organizational transformation?
Yeah, that's a very interesting one, because when I took this job back in February, I went around and talked to a number of friends in the industry, big companies who've gone through these sort of technical transformations, really big banks, really big computer companies, and a number of other ones. And the one stat that I think was the most shocking to me was that most of the companies had went through some sort of digital transformation at their company. They said anywhere between 50 and 70% of their leadership team, like from manager up, had to be replaced, like literally fired, right? And essentially it was because they they resisted change, right? They were the problem, right? The internal leaders and we talk sometimes, I think one of my friends called it the frozen middle, right? You have this, great strategy from the CEO and the executive leaders. They all think this way, and here's where we're going. And you maybe convince that next layer of management down, and then you've got this frozen middle that doesn't move, and they're the ones that are causing the grind in the entire org. There's a great, I think it's a Peter Drucker quote that says, culture will eat strategy for breakfast, right? It will trash you, right? And so how do you make sure that, and I've been using that stat a lot internally because I don't want to fire 50% to 70% of my leaders. I want them to realize that, companies who haven't made the transformation have had to go to extremes and replace everyone. So
it's not like,
we're very open about it, right?
Yeah, so resisting change is not a strategy. If
Correct.
you're to keep your job, you're going to lose your job. But then again, if you start hearing rumblings and, that there's some firings and leadership at Walmart for the innovators out there, there's opportunity.
Absolutely.
You got to do leadership. No,
That's
this
great.
is like everyone's got to one of those things I got to always say is like people need to think entrepreneurially about their own career, whether or not they're a startup founder or they work for a company.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and frankly, the learning experience that I'm going through and all the teams, for example, the team that ran store registers, we combined with the team that runs the mobile device, and you can imagine these are two totally different technologies from a tech stack and from a way of processing. The POS, the point of sale machine gets like 6 to 12 updates, software updates every year, and it gets rolled out to hundreds of thousands of registers around the world, where the mobile app's getting updated every day, and so combining these two teams again had really showed, okay, you have a leadership team, and you now have teams that have different perspectives on how to do it, and you can really see how. Back to my point, we built Scan and Go. I was describing this feature. I don't know if you guys are Sam's Club shoppers, but if you've ever been to a box warehouse store on like a Saturday, you would never say, I'm going to go to my Sam's Club on a Saturday and go pick up 2 items, right? If you're going to go there,
Said no one ever.
Yeah, you're gonna get this big giant basket of goods, and you're gonna spend an hour, and you're gonna pick everything that you need, and all the 50-pound bags of Cheetos and whatever you need, and you're gonna check out. But now that we've built this technology called Scan and Go, you use your phone, you scan the items yourself, and then you pay on the phone. It's a membership business. We know who you are. You have payments on file, and then you go to the exit greeter, show your stuff, and you leave. So it's conceivable to walk in a Sam's Club. I've done it myself. Buy 3 items and walk out in 5 minutes. And those are the kind of things that are really transformational. When you get out of your car and you leave your phone in your car by accident, you'll turn around and go back and get your phone because your shopping experience is so much better if you have your phone with you. Right? That's the kind of experience we can build.
And that translates back to why combine these completely different technology teams together. Because it's all about, all right, the customer walking in the store.
Right, absolutely.
But some of these changes, sort of think about these digital transformations. You talk about entrenched interests. You talk about, stakeholders, quarterly earnings. I heard Dell earlier on stage saying going private. What's sort of step back out. You've been at eBay, you've been at other companies. Sort of step back out. What do you think in terms of big companies having to innovate and what it takes? Because in some cases, to kind of get them to kind of turn course in an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it's no doubt. I tell stories sometimes about the first meetings I've had with Walmart were really about whether they were serious or not. And because in the end, you knew you were going to have to invest pretty radically in order to make that transformation at Walmart. And if you listen to the CEO, Doug McMillon, talk about, or the board, Greg Penner was just on board talking about investing in technology, investing in e-commerce, investing in these businesses, and really talking about how you have to change your company. We've been around 52 years, and we want to be around for another 52 years, right? My point is you have to start at the top. It has to be part of your company strategy. You have to, make sure you have a great change and digital enterprise strategy or a change strategy, and make sure your leaders are behind it. Back to my 70% of leaders can't make the change.
Right. And is that what's different now? Because, it's not like Walmart has been, behind the 8 ball on technology, took some steps before, but is that what's different now? Is the leadership at the top really committed to it?
Well, that's a good question. So I've been in the company just about 6 years, and the first year was really just rebuilding the team to get started, and then we essentially rebuilt the platform from the ground up. When I started, there were 700,000 items on the website, And I looked about an hour ago, and we announced that we had 50 million items at shareholders last week, and we passed 53 this morning. We're adding about 1 million items every week. And,
onto the website.
Onto the website, right? But this building a foundation to scale a platform like that it was a pretty big job. And so we had to...
Did you know what you were getting into when the recruiter hired you?
That's part of the reason I took the job. I mean, I wake up in the morning thinking about this all the time. And you know, when the world's largest company says, hey, do you want to help us rebuild our e-commerce platform? You kind of say, yeah, that sounds like kind of fun, right? But that process of building the platform effectively took about 2.5 years. And now that we have an e-commerce logistics network married up with our stores logistics network, we have great buying capabilities, great prices. You go look at our prices. Our prices are not a little bit cheaper. We're a lot cheaper on your items. If you haven't looked lately, you should look. And then just turned on the gas on marketing. So what's really changed?
What are you pricing my book at your...
I actually should have looked. I should have looked. You set the price of that book, right? You don't care as long as I go through volume, right? Yeah. So I forgot my train of thought now. That was a good one.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Pricing.
Oh yeah, pricing, but also the distribution network to get this bottle of water to any household in America in 2 days, along with your 10 other items. That logistics network, we built 5 brand new 1 million+ square foot warehouses. They're all sort of mechanized, mostly people, but it has lots of mechanism in it. And just getting that in place took about 3 years. And now it's just marketing and turning on the gas. Yeah. So it's been great.
Well, we're talking about all this mobile and consumers using mobile and the technology. I was like laughing in the back. I mean, I'll ask the question, if what's your biggest challenge right now with technology and with consumers?
Oh boy, the biggest technology challenge. I think what you're really seeing, and the question is, what technology is going to go fast enough in order to really radically change the way people buy stuff when they're on stores. And you've seen people experiment. Some of our competitors experiment with optical. We've been playing with RFID forever. There's new labeling that are coming out that have invisible barcodes all over the scanners so that cameras can pick things up. And it's really which technology is going to win. And again, it's the scale problem. I tease the folks that work with beacons quite a bit. As you always get these marketing companies coming in saying, hey, you should put these beacons, every 10 feet down your aisles. And I'm like, hey, this isn't Sunglass Hut. This is a 200,000 square foot building that, gets remodeled and restacked for Thanksgiving and Halloween and Christmas and that sort of thing. Right? Keeping track of even 2 beacons in a store is a challenge, right? And
when you have a
across
beacon
5,000 locations, and
when you give me a beacon that's good for big enough for the space, but also I think when we were talking about in the background on some of the connectivity issues that besides poor mobile service that we as consumers want to light our hair on fire on.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got what do you do in those stores where you've got
Yeah, it's great. I was saying that one of the biggest barriers to this digital physical relationship is good internet connectivity, right? And I have 5,000 locations, some of the most rural, remote areas in the U.S. And I pull out my Scan and Go app and I can't scan because I can't use Walmart Pay or any of these things at the register because I literally can't connect to the internet. So okay, let's put Wi-Fi in there. Oh, okay, the nearest fiber line's about 5 miles away. I literally said I can't make this stuff up. The closest fiber line to one of the stores, you could dig a trench, but you can't dig a trench because there's an Indian burial ground in between the two. I'm like, literally, you can't. So now we're like, okay, what about 5G? Can you put up a 5G tower? And we have satellite back. I mean, these kind of things are what we have to worry about at Walmart scale. You look at 5,000 locations, you're going to find locations where you can't get good internet connectivity, and how do you solve for that? Satellites, 5G, maybe it will come, and all these sorts of things.
Did you know you were going to take that on when you took the job?
No, not at all. That piece is amazing. Even things like the warehouse management systems, like the number of trucks that come into a warehouse that are loading and unloading. We have a vehicle management system that effectively, when a truck comes in the door, it obviously registers itself, and then it pulls around and where does it park it? And then when they park it, when does it go unload and that sort of thing. You have to remember where you put all the trucks, right? And this was one of the first things I had to learn when I took over the retail systems is everything we touch has massive scale because there's just huge amounts of it. And the nice part about it is this is where things like a machine learning technology can really come into play. You don't really want that to be a FIFO kind of pro, that the first truck that got there, is the first one you unload. You really want to use machine learning saying, hey, we have orders for this. We're about to be out of stock on this item. It's in truck that just arrived 5 minutes ago. You really want to unload that truck first before you unload these trucks. So using machine learning and technology inside all of the parts of the business. When you think about digital transformation, I think that's the one thing that business people often, and actually I should say technologies too, get wrong. They think about automating their current process, making it faster, making it cheaper, making it easier. What you really need to do is rethink, how do I take, a technology and rethink the way this process works completely. And that's the thing that a digital transformation really needs to do. It's not just making your current process faster, right?
I got you. I'm following you
Got
on
me.
this. Let's go back. I want to sort of say, go back to yesterday when we were seriously geeking out on some of the presentations. What's capturing your attention these days? Because you're Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Love you to death, but you're a geek. AR, VR, IoT, robotics, machine learning.
Everybody's, yeah.
What is it? What is
yeah.
it? What are you geeking out on, Jeremy?
Boy, the AR, VR piece I think is pretty interesting. One of our board members said, don't mess with VR for the next 5 years in retail because it's going to be focused on gaming for the next 5 years and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of people talking about AR and how to apply that. And I've seen a lot of interesting retail technologies. The thing I'm really interested in though lately is really optical, is really figuring out how to identify a whole basket of items. Somebody puts a whole basket of items into a cart, and the idea is to be able to walk right out and know what every single item is without even scanning. So we sometimes talking about no scan. And optical may be the way. It might be tagging. Tagging seems unlikely because it's really hard. It's really hard and expensive to tag this item. Think about bananas and chili peppers and things like that. How do you tag those?
51 million. How many products? Yeah.
Exactly. I looked. I think we sold in the last month 450,000 unique items in Tennessee, and so every Walmart store isn't a cookie cutter of each other. They have lots of local items and that sort of thing too. So you have to deal with all the onboarding of that. So just that whole process of sort of onboarding items, knowing what they are, and figuring out how to get out the door faster is what I'm geeking out about. Seen some pretty cool robotic stuff lately too. There's a lot of companies that are looking at robots to sort of scan the aisles and see if you're out of stock on things. And there's some stuff that looks really promising that I've seen lately. Really fun stuff.
I can tell.
Yeah.
What else? What else should we know? I know I got to keep the trains running on time, particularly
Yeah,
today.
I
I did
know.
a good job of that yesterday with the student edition. I got to keep it on time today because
Yeah. We had at shareholders, we announced a number of things. Last week, I should have saved a few things to announce here, but it was kind of our big week last week, so we announced everything last week.
Thanks a lot
So,
for making your shareholders more important than us here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. One of our big discussions that's been coming out is figuring out how to do this last mile delivery problem. So I talked about the $5 to get one item to your house, $7 to get 7. And our logistics network is pretty fantastic, as you can imagine dealing with. What if I could take my associates, similar to an Uber kind of setup, where I'm an associate, I'm working at the store, I get off at 5, I'm going to drive home, and I'm going to pass 3 customers on the way that need packages. So how do you build a network that allows us to pay employees and to drop those packages off instead of handing them off to yet another logistics carrier that's going to take them back to a hub and then bring them all back? We already, 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of Walmart, right? We already have most of the items that they want on a common basis, especially shipping an item like this or even 12 of these, really expensive, really heavy, really unprofitable, right? But I already have a profitable logistics network to get them to 5,000 stores around the world. So how do I get them to that last mile in an economical fashion? So we announced associate delivery. We've been trialing for more than 6 months now, where associate at the end of the workday can sign up to be a delivery package, can drop off their packages to their neighbors, which is amazing.
And
again,
where's that happening?
All through New Jersey, and we have a couple other sites around the U.S. that we're trialing. It's really about, we've been figuring out every state has different regulations. I mean, this is the same thing Uber and Lyft are going through, is like, what's this, how much insurance you have to have, all these sorts of logistical nightmares. So, but it's one of those things, back to the point, once we married the digital and the physical businesses together, I have to work with a scheduling system for employees. I have to be able to figure out, what time of day do they get off, right? And what time of, what's their schedule? How close are they to other customers? Do they have a car? How big can their car be, right? And how big can the packages be? And all these sorts of things that work out. And again, if you apply this in sort of a next-gen way, you think about this as you were starting from scratch, you can think about machine learning all this stuff, right? We had we're having a problem because we're having so many people come and pick up. I was talking about the pickup discount. We're actually running out of room in the back room, and so we applied some machine learning on how to pick the items in which order. And effectively, we were able to put about 30% more items into our totes that we sort of stack up. When you drive your car up, we'll put them into your car in in 1 minute. Our goal is 5 minutes or less. And so just applying some basic machine learning algos, we were able to route the employee through the store and put more items into a single tote, and it brought down our space utilization by like 30% overnight. And so these kind of things are, when you really think about manual processes and sort of store processes, but you can apply machine learning technology that you wouldn't necessarily think about, that's where it's really a digital transformation.
So just thinking some of the startups here, sort of like a final question, because then I know you gotta go see the governor. Not that we're not important,
Yeah.
So thinking is because you're hearing a lot. Okay, you've made acquisitions, but
Yep.
you've also got all this other innovation you're doing. When do you decide to acquire technology, and when do you decide I just got to build it myself?
Yeah. I think every company struggles with that question, because obviously with a team like mine, you want to build everything, right? I mean, everybody wants to.
Your face just lights up.
Oh,
and you're
God,
like,
it's
I want to
crazy.
build everything.
You want to build everything. And we just created a group called Store 8. It's a separate part of Walmart. Store 8 was the store number that Sam Walton used to mess around with when he wanted to do experiments. He would use store number 8, and he would try new stuff there. So we thought it was appropriate for our innovation arm. And really, it was the idea. One of the things that entrepreneurs and startups have a problem with Walmart is that it's a big, daunting company. You're like, who do I pick up the phone and call first, right? And so the idea is to try and funnel that through the Store 8 teams so that they can get it to the right people. And literally, it's really innovations that are sort of 2 to 5 years out. The Store 8 team will help incubate it and figure it out. But if it's sort of 3 or less, it's something that we're actively working on, then I'll pull it into my team, and then we'll start iterating with real store trials and that sort of thing. I tried to do a calculation this morning. It's over 100 startups that we're working with already. So, and as you can imagine, we're constantly looking at new technologies and figuring it out. I was loving the pitches, because I mostly just get to see retail stuff, and there were some great pitches that came up that were totally unrelated to retail. It's like, wow, cool. But
anything you saw that you thought, oh, gee, maybe this could be for retail.
I can't disclose any of that. Come on. Yeah, okay.
Well, you're not going to be here for judging, so don't.
Exactly.
Those of us who be judging, don't give it away. No, that's
I think, the great part about this part of the country is there is a lot of really strong technical talent that wants to stay home, if you know what I mean, right? And so Arkansas has been a great hub for us. We attract talent all over the U.S. that want to move to Arkansas or to California or to Hoboken. We have offices in Portland and Carlsbad, and so we're sort of playing the long game on this, right? Where we have all these tech plays, but as Steve was saying earlier, it's each one of these hubs are starting to learn how to not only work with governments, make sure they have the right amount of funding, how working with universities, and to make sure that the startup culture is thriving. And I'm seeing that in spades, where I'm getting calls from places that I never would believe that they have a startup there, and it's a pretty vibrant one already. 5 years ago, that would have never happened, right? And it's great to see that come through. So mostly we're partnering, and then, like I said, we did about 15 acqui-hires, and now we're really working at partnering with startups. So give me a call if you have a great idea.
So, there's a good. So, in terms of which funnel,
Yeah. So
In terms of like,
yeah, you can go to store 8 if you're yeah, and they'll funnel it to the right area. So store number 8, I think is what it's called. Store no 8 or something. Just look at Walmart store 8. You'll find it.
comment then in sort of funneling technology. And so is Walmart Labs still exist or no?
Yes, so Walmart Labs is my team, the technology team, right? And we just made Store 8 because we might want to do some funding and that sort of thing. We wanted to be outside of the Walmart legal environment, right? So, if you know what I mean.
Shh, don't tweet that.
Exactly. It's true, and I think it actually even says it on the website. It's hey, because, we don't want to kill startups when they come in, right? We want to really help foster and work with them.
And so the move fast, break things, let them keep that ethos and do that over in the Store 8. And and then you still got the Walmart Labs, and that's you and your team.
Yep.
Cooking
Anything
up all
that's
sorts of
stuff. Right around the corner, we have a lot of active projects going on right now.
Okay, so if it's right around the corner, you at Walmart Labs. If it's
if we're not thinking about it yet, they're going to incubate it for us for a while.
They're going to
exactly.
keep it good and cooking for you. Well,
yeah,
awesome. All right, get up to the governor so we don't keep it.
Thank
keep
you very
him
much
waiting.
for having me.
Thank you so much for being on the stage.
Great to meet you. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.